Venice is the only city in the world built directly on water. It stands on more than 120 islands, connected by 400 bridges, with thousands of wooden piles beneath each house. These were driven into the mud back in the Middle Ages, and remarkably they have not rotted. This is because there is no oxygen underwater, and the wood, infused with minerals, has gradually turned into a nearly stone-like material. The city lives to the rhythm of the waves and gondolas, and each morning begins with the reflection of light in the canals. Venice seems to be crafted not by hands, but by the music of water, a city that doesn't just stand but floats on history. And now a bit of magic from the lab. If you cool a substance almost to absolute zero, where the temperature is just a fraction of a degree above -273, it stops behaving like ordinary matter. The atoms begin to move in sync, as if singing a single note. This state is called a Bose-Einstein condensate. In this state, the substance exhibits strange properties. It flows without friction, passes through walls, and can hover in the air. Scientists refer to it as the fifth state of matter. So it turns out that if you cool the world down significantly, it becomes almost magical. One of the most persistent myths is about the New World Order. Proponents of this theory believe that behind global events lies a group of leaders, banks, and corporations that supposedly want to establish a global government. This idea combines a fear of power with a longing for control. Psychologists suggest that conspiracy theories help people find meaning in chaos. If everything can be explained by someone's design, then the world seems less random. Interestingly, belief in conspiracies is also a way to cope with anxiety. Sometimes it's easier to believe in a secret plan than to accept that no one is in charge. Before we move on to the next facts, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and who knows, maybe a miracle will happen to you tomorrow. Also, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm really curious. Alright, let's continue. The story of Laika, the space dog, still touches hearts. In 1957, this little stray from Moscow became the first living being to orbit the Earth. She was launched aboard the satellite Sputnik 2. At that time, they didn't know how to bring the capsule back, but the experiment demonstrated that a living creature could endure weightlessness and G-forces. Laika did not return, but her flight was a crucial step towards future space expeditions. She remains a symbol of courage and sacrifice for science. A small dog that paved the way to the stars. What could be more heroic? In Madagascar lives a tiny marvel, a chameleon smaller than a fingernail. Its length is just 29 millimeters. This little one can fit on the tip of a finger, yet it retains all the abilities of its larger relatives. It changes the color of its body, catches insects with its long tongue, and moves with regal grace. Scientists discovered it only in 2012 and were astonished. Nature had managed to create an almost invisible predator. Despite its size, this mini chameleon reminds us that greatness is measured not in centimeters, but in the ability to survive and astonish in the most unexpected forms. Lions are the true kings of the savannah, but if you found yourself among them, you would be surprised by how much time they spend sleeping. These mighty predators can sleep for up to 20 hours a day. During the day, lions lazily lounge in the shade, becoming active only at dawn and dusk. Sleep is their way of conserving energy for hunting. Interestingly, females sleep a bit less, as they are the ones who hunt more often. It's amusing that even the most fearsome creatures value a good rest. Perhaps the lion is the best proof that kings are meant to sleep longer than anyone else. If the human eye could be compared to a camera, its resolution would be around 576 megapixels. This is tens of times more than the most advanced smartphone. Our eyes can distinguish about 10 million shades and instantly focus at different distances. We perceive the world not in frames, but as a cohesive picture, because the brain instantly connects billions of signals. And all of this happens in two tiny spheres the size of a walnut. Eyes are not just windows to the soul, they are true super lenses of nature, which can be admired endlessly. Crocodiles in Germany may seem like an unlikely combination, but in the Saarland region, it's a reality. There, a real crocodile farm operates in the zoo. Over 100 individuals live in large, warm enclosures where the temperature of the water and air is maintained by heating systems. Even in winter, when snow covers the ground outside, it's a true tropical paradise inside. The crocodiles lazily swim, yawn, and bask in the warmth. Tourists come to see these ancient reptiles, while scientists study how such predators adapt to the European climate. It turns out that with the right conditions, even tropical giants can feel at home under the German sky. In India, there lives the largest family in the world, over 180 people under one roof. The head of the clan was a man named Ziona Chana, who had 39 wives, 94 children, and dozens of grandchildren. They all lived in a huge house with 100 rooms. It's not chaos, it's a real community. The elders help the younger ones, the kitchen operates like a factory, and food is prepared in large pots. To an outsider, it may seem incredible, but for them, it's a normal way of life where family truly means everything. And perhaps that's why laughter always fills their home. When Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, he suggested answering with "ahoy," like sailors instead of "hello." Yes, if things had gone differently, we might be starting our calls with a cheerful "ahoy" for today. For a while, people actually used that word, but Thomas Edison found it inconvenient and proposed the shorter "hello," which quickly caught on. Thus, one decision changed the everyday speech of the entire world. It's amusing that even a simple greeting has its own history. And who knows? Maybe in some parallel universe, people still answer the phone like true ship captains. It turns out that scent can not only lift your spirits, but also save lives. Scientists have found that pleasant smells in a car can reduce the risk of accidents. For instance, the scent of lemon or mint invigorates and enhances concentration, while lavender helps you relax in traffic. Some car manufacturers are even experimenting with smart air fresheners that adjust to your driving style. If you're feeling anxious, they release calming notes. So, a simple thing like a scent can influence our behavior behind the wheel. Next time you choose an air freshener, you might be opting for not just comfort, but safety as well. Imagine living on an island where ash falls from the sky almost every day and the air smells of volcano. This is Sakurajima, a real active volcano in Japan, one of the most active on the planet. It erupts so frequently that the entire island is covered in a thin gray layer like powder. The locals have long since adapted. They have special machines for cleaning the ash, and children are given helmets in schools. Yet, people do not leave this amazing place. On the contrary, tourists come to witness nature's reminder of its power. Sakurajima is a symbol of strength and resilience. Life continues even beneath the volcano. If animals were awarded for maternal cleverness, kangaroos would definitely take home the top prize. Female kangaroos have an amazing ability. They can pause their pregnancy if needed. This process is called embryonic diapause. When a mother kangaroo is already carrying a joey in her pouch, or when it's too hot and food is scarce, her body pauses the development of the next embryo. As soon as conditions improve, growth resumes. This natural trick helps kangaroos survive in harsh Australia, where rain can be absent for months. Imagine if humans could also postpone important tasks until better times. Life would surely be calmer. Owls are called nocturnal hunters for a reason. Their eyes are not round like balls but long tubes directed forward. This allows the owl to see in 3 dimensions, almost like through binoculars, enabling it to detect the slightest movement even in the dark. However, it cannot turn its eyes to the side at all. So nature gifted it with a flexible neck that can rotate almost 270 degrees. When an owl turns its head, it seems as if it possesses supernatural powers. But it's simply perfect anatomy. With such vision and hearing, the owl becomes an invisible guardian of the night, silent and precise. Once in ancient Babylon, there was a strange tradition known as the dinner lottery. People would gather for a feast, each bringing a dish to share. Everything was placed on a communal table, and then the food was randomly distributed among the participants. No one knew what they would receive, an extravagant roast or a humble stew. The essence was not in the food, but in the joyful spirit of surprise. This idea later inspired many dining games and even modern culinary festivals. It's amusing that thousands of years ago, people knew how to turn an ordinary dinner into a celebration of chance and cheerful interaction. Imagine a giant leaf the size of a dining table, capable of supporting the weight of a child. This is the Victoria Amazonica, the queen of aquatic plants. Its leaves can grow up to 3 meters in diameter and can hold up to 70 kilograms. The upper side is smooth and shiny, while the underside is covered with ribs resembling a bridge framework that evenly distributes the load. When you look at these leaves floating on the calm waters of the Amazon, they seem like green plates for giants. The flower of the Victoria lasts only 2 days. On the first day, it is white. On the second, it turns pink. And then it sinks underwater. A short but incredibly beautiful life. You've probably heard of dry ice, the stuff that hisses, smokes, and turns water into a mystical fog. In reality, it's just carbon dioxide in solid form. At normal pressure, it doesn't melt. It sublimates directly into gas. That's why the ice seems magical. It disappears without leaving a puddle. Restaurants use it for dramatic cocktails, while scientists employ it for cooling reactors and preserving samples. It turns out that even the coldest material in the world can be a true performer on stage. Imagine a forest where hundreds of trees seem to have decided to dance, frozen in strange poses. This enchanting landscape can be found in Poland, near the village of Gryfin. This forest is called the Crooked Forest. Each tree bends at its base, as if someone once intentionally curved them and then let go. Why are they like this? Scientists are still debating. Some believe it was human intervention. Perhaps the trees were bent for furniture or ship planks. Others are convinced that nature is to blame. Snow, wind, or unusual magnetic fields. Regardless, the place looks magical. Tourists come here as if stepping into a fairy tale to unravel the mystery of the bends, leaving with a sense of having touched a living enigma. And now hold on, your phone knows you live in warped time. Yes, GPS wouldn't work without taking into account Einstein's theory of relativity. Satellites fly higher, where gravity is weaker and time passes slightly faster than on Earth. The difference is in billionths of a second. But if it's not accounted for, your navigator would be off by kilometers. So every time you open the map and check where the nearest coffee shop is, remember, your smartphone is secretly adjusting space and time. Physics is literally helping you not to get lost. If you were a dung beetle, you would need your own navigator. But these tiny workers have already acquired the oldest possible one. The stars. At night, they navigate by the Milky Way, rolling their precious dung ball in the right direction. Amazingly, even with their simple eyes, they can detect the light of the stars. Scientists have conducted experiments. When the sky is obscured, the beetles get lost and start to circle around as if their compass is broken. So one could say that these humble creatures are among the most romantic beings. They are guided not by maps or GPS, but by the stars themselves. Here's another wonder, the chemistry of scents. What we call the smell of rain is actually a mixture of plant oils and a substance called geosmin, which is released by soil bacteria. It's that warm, cozy scent that fills the air when the first drops fall after the heat. Our noses are so sensitive to geosmin that they can detect it in concentrations as low as 1 molecule per trillion. So even after a storm, we're enchanted not just by water, but by the work of tiny microbes creating a fragrance of memories. It's true chemistry of mood. Now imagine a bird that lives in eternal summer. This is the Arctic tern, a small but tireless traveler. Every year it migrates from the Arctic to Antarctica and back, covering about 70,000 kilometers. Essentially, it follows the sun, flying from one pole to the other, to always bask in warm rays. No other creature on the planet travels such distances. Its flight is a dance with the wind, a journey of a lifetime. And every time you see a bird in the sky, remember, it might just be her, a weary yet joyful wanderer of eternal summer, soaring above the clouds. Have you ever heard of quantum tunneling? It's when a particle passes through a barrier that, logically, it shouldn't be able to overcome. Imagine throwing a ball at a wall and suddenly it appears on the other side without breaking it. At the quantum level, this is normal. Electrons do it all the time. This effect is what makes flash drives and microchips work. Quantum mechanics is like the universe's mischievous child. It knows the rules but sometimes deliberately breaks them. You've probably noticed that laughter can instantly lift your spirits, but it turns out it also heals the heart. When we laugh, our blood vessels expand, blood circulates more actively, and stress levels decrease. Scientists say that a good laugh acts almost like medicine. Imagine this: you laugh heartily, and your heart literally starts to function better. So, if everything in your life seems to be falling apart, turn on a comedy. Invite some friends and just laugh. Those moments of joy extend life and strengthen the heart. It turns out that the old saying, laughter is the best medicine, is not just a saying, but a scientific fact. The light you see when you look at the sun is actually the past. Yes, that glow touching your face in the morning left the surface of the star 8 minutes ago. It may seem trivial, but it's a small journey of 150 million kilometers. Every sunny morning is a glimpse into the past, a beam that has traveled to you through space and time. And if you think about it, we live in a constant dialogue with the cosmos. Everything we see in the sky is yesterday's light. Even an ordinary sunrise becomes magical when you realize you're witnessing light that began its journey long before you woke up. You may have heard that vending machines are more dangerous than sharks, and it's true. Every year, more people die from falling or tipping vending machines than from shark attacks. The issue is that some people try to shake the machine to get a stuck candy bar, causing it to fall. Scientists even joke, the most dangerous prize is chocolate. So if your candy bar doesn't drop, it's better to accept it. Sweet treats can wait, and life is more valuable. It's funny, but this fact reminds us of a simple truth. Real dangers aren't always lurking in the ocean. Sometimes they stand right by the office wall. Imagine you are floating in space near a black hole. The closer you get, the more time begins to stretch. A minute for you could mean years for an observer far away. This isn't fiction. It's the effect of gravitational time dilation predicted by Einstein in his theory of relativity. The space around a black hole curves like fabric under a heavy ball. If you ever found yourself at the event horizon, the world would freeze. Everything would stop for you, while for others, you would vanish forever. Beautiful, eerie, and impossibly real. Chocolate was once considered the drink of the gods. The ancient Maya and Aztecs consumed cocoa in its bitter form, adding pepper and spices instead of sugar. They were even taxed in chocolate. It was a form of currency. It wasn't until centuries later in Europe that sugar and milk were added, transforming it into the sweet delight we know today. Interestingly, cocoa contains theobromine, a substance that induces a mild euphoria and a rush of happiness. So when you enjoy a chocolate bar after a tough day, you're not just treating yourself. You're partaking in a small ritual of the ancient gods wrapped in a modern package. If there were an Olympics for animals, the cheetah would win the blind sprint. It can accelerate to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds, faster than a sports car. But few know that the cheetah can't maintain that speed for more than 20 seconds. Its body overheats and its muscles burn through almost all their energy. After a chase, the cheetah lies in the grass and literally catches its breath for several minutes. All that power is for a brief moment, to catch its prey. Nature seems to say, sometimes it's not about speed, but the precise moment to take off. In the jungles of Madagascar lives the ai, a nocturnal creature with large round eyes and a long thin finger that it uses as a tool to extract insects. The ai taps on wood, listening for the sound of a larva hiding inside, then gnaws a hole and retrieves its prey with its finger, like a spoon. Once considered a symbol of misfortune due to its strange appearance, it is now protected as a unique wonder of nature. The ai proves that even the most unusual beings have simply found their way to be themselves, and they do it brilliantly. The king of horror, Alfred Hitchcock, was not afraid of monsters or shadows. He was terrified of ordinary eggs. Yes, the great director had a genuine ovophobia. He admitted that the sight of a broken egg filled him with disgust and anxiety. It's amusing considering this man created dozens of films that left audiences frozen in fear, yet he trembled at the sight of a yolk. Perhaps this internal contrast is what made him a genius. He understood that true horror lies not in monsters, but in the simplest things. So, the next time you find yourself scared of something strange, remember, even Hitchcock was afraid of an omelet. In Italy, there is a sauce that takes 6 years to prepare. It's called traditional balsamic vinegar. It's made from grape juice that slowly thickens in wooden barrels, moving from one to another like a maturation process. Over the years, it absorbs the aroma of the wood and becomes thick, almost syrupy. Each drop is a concentrate of time, sunlight, and patience. Locals joke that true balsamic is like a good love affair. The older it gets, the deeper the flavor. Indeed, a drop of this condiment can turn an ordinary piece of cheese into a gastronomic symphony. The most common blood type on Earth is type O. About 38% of people have it, and this blood type is considered the most universal. It can be transfused to almost anyone with a positive Rh factor, which makes donors with this blood type particularly valuable. Scientists refer to them as universal donors. Interestingly, in some cultures, blood type is even associated with personality traits. Those with type O are seen as energetic, reliable, and generous. It may be a coincidence, but it's nice to think that even blood reflects a kind heart. Have you ever thought about how gravity on Earth isn't the same everywhere? We tend to assume that pulling down is uniform, but the weight of objects varies slightly in different locations. This is because the planet isn't a perfect sphere. It's slightly flattened at the poles. Gravity is stronger where the surface is closer to the center, like at the poles, and weaker at the equator. The density of the rocks and altitude above sea level also play a role. So, standing on the summit of Everest, you weigh a bit less than you do at sea level. Not a huge difference, but nice, right? Nature even gives you a bonus, a gravitational discount. Imagine standing by the sea watching the waves overlap. At some point, two peaks align, creating one massive wave. Conversely, when a peak meets a trough, they cancel each other out. Light behaves in a similar way. Two rays can either amplify or extinguish one another. This effect is called interference. It's what creates the iridescent colors on soap bubbles and oil slicks. The beauty of physics lies in the fact that even a drop of soap can reveal how waves of light dance on the edge between existence and nothingness. If you thought zombies only existed in movies, you should take a look at the tropical forests of the Amazon. There lives the fungus Ophiocordyceps, a true puppeteer in the insect world. It infects an ant, grows inside its body, and seemingly takes control, forcing the poor creature to climb a high branch. When the ant dies, a stalk of the fungus sprouts from its head, releasing new spores. Thus begins the next zombie drama. It's creepy but fascinating. After all, it's part of the natural balance. The fungus, though it seems like a villain, helps regulate insect populations. Even horrors in the forest serve harmony. You probably picture the Tower of London as a grim grey building steeped in history. But in the Middle Ages, it was quite different, bright white and dazzling. It was covered in lime plaster and the tower's brilliance reflected in the Thames. People even called it the White Tower. Every few years, the walls were repainted to maintain their shine. Over time, dust and rain took their toll. The white color faded, leaving the familiar gray stone. But just imagine how the tower once sparkled in the sun, like a giant pearl in the heart of the city, and it becomes clear why it was seen as a symbol of the power and purity of royal authority. Bishop Rock is a tiny island in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of England, considered the smallest inhabited island in the world. Its area is so small that it is less than that of a typical school classroom, just a few square meters. On this microscopic patch of land stands a lighthouse that has been guiding ships for centuries. The waves of the Atlantic rage around it, but the island stands firm against the elements, like a symbol of human strength and perseverance. Even such a minuscule piece of land can hold great significance and leave a mark on history. Now imagine this. A cute squirrel hopping along power lines can leave an entire city without electricity. Yes, these fluffy acrobats in the US are responsible for up to 20% of all power outages. They run along the lines, touch exposed wires with their paws, and just like that, a short circuit occurs. It sounds amusing, but utility workers then have to deal with serious outages. However, squirrels don't do this on purpose. They're just curious. So, when you see one in a tree, remember, beneath that fluffy coat lies a true sabotager of the urban power grid. Babies can cry from day one, but if you listen closely, you might notice one oddity. Their tears are not really tears. In the first weeks of life, newborns make loud sounds and scrunch their faces, but their tear ducts aren't functioning yet. It's only after a month or two that their eyes start to produce real moisture. Until then, this crying without tears helps the baby communicate with the world, calling for mom, expressing discomfort, or simply demanding attention. It's amusing that a person first learns to scream and only later to cry for real. Perhaps that's why adult tears are so rare. They come when feelings can no longer be contained. Parrots are the true extroverts of the bird world. They don't just mimic words. They understand intonations and emotions. One famous parrot named Alex participated in scientific experiments and knew over 100 words, could distinguish colors and shapes, and even answered questions like, "What do you want?" by choosing between apple and grape. When Alex passed away, his last words were, "Be good, I love you." At that moment, it seems that the differences between humans and animals aren't so vast. It's just that we have different beak shapes. Conspiracy theories of the 20th century often revolve around Area 51. This American military facility in Nevada has become a symbol of all UFO mysteries. It all started with the crash of a mysterious object in Roswell in 1947, after which the conspiracies grew. Supposedly, they store alien bodies and flying saucers there. In reality, the base was used for testing spy planes. However, the government long denied its existence, which only fueled the rumors. Ultimately, the zone transformed into a cultural symbol. It doesn't matter what's actually there. What matters is our desire to peek inside. Sea otters are the true romantics of the ocean. When they sleep, they hold paws to avoid drifting apart in the waves. Scientists call this rafting. Entire rafts of otters form, drifting on the water as they sleep. Sometimes they cling to kelp like an anchor to avoid being swept away. It looks so heartwarming that even the toughest sailors can't help but smile. But behind this cuteness lies practicality. The ocean current is strong, and staying together means survival. It's amazing how a simple touch of a paw becomes a symbol of trust, friendship, and warmth, even amidst the cold waves. Mexico lives under the watchful gaze of the fiery giant, the Popocatépetl volcano, affectionately known by locals as El Popo. Just 50 kilometers from Mexico City, it constantly reminds us of its presence with plumes of smoke and rumblings from deep within the earth. This volcano is among the most active on the planet. Despite the risks, thousands of people live nearby, and tourists come to witness its power firsthand. When you look at El Popo, you feel a sense of awe. Nature truly knows how to be both beautiful and dangerous at the same time, as if demonstrating who is in charge. Chemistry can create real gold, but not the kind pirates dream of. Scientists have learned to turn lead and other metals into gold at the atomic level. This has become possible through nuclear reactions where protons are removed and added to atoms, literally changing them. The only problem is that this process requires enormous energy and costs millions of dollars. The gold produced ends up being more expensive than the entire apparatus. So it seems that alchemists were right, just unaware of how impractical it was. Still, the dream of turning lead into gold is, after all, chemical poetry, wouldn't you agree? You might not have thought about the fact that the Earth and the Moon are literally dancing with each other. Our planet is 81 times heavier than its satellite, yet they are drawn to each other so strongly that they influence one another. The Moon causes tides, while the Earth slows down its rotation. This cosmic duet maintains the balance of the entire system. Without the Moon, days would be shorter, tides weaker, and life on the planet would be entirely different. So, when you gaze at the silvery disk at night, remember, you're looking at more than just a satellite. You're witnessing Earth's partner in an eternal dance of gravity that has lasted for billions of years. Imagine a fish smaller than a fingernail, just 7.9 millimeters long. This is the tiniest fish on Earth, Pidocypris progenetica, found in the swamps of Indonesia. It's transparent, scaleless, and almost weightless, weighing less than a grain of sand. Scientists can even see its internal organs under a microscope. Despite its microscopic size, this little fish plays an important role in the ecosystem, feeding on microscopic plankton. It's amazing how nature creates such miniature masterpieces. Even the tiniest creature can maintain the balance of a vast world. When you hear king, you immediately think of grandeur and power. But Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, surpassed them all. He ruled France for a remarkable 72 years and 110 days, longer than any monarch in history. Under his reign, France became the center of fashion, art, and splendor. Louis loved extravagance, hosted grand balls, built Versailles, and set the tone for all of Europe. It is said that he identified so closely with the state that he famously declared, "L'état, c'est moi." And honestly, in his case, that was not far from the truth. On the Indonesian island of Java, there is the Ijen volcano, but instead of the usual orange tongues of fire erupting from the crater, there is blue flame. This site resembles something out of a fantasy. Bright blue streams of lava flow down the slopes. In reality, it's sulfur gases igniting upon contact with air. At night, it looks like a neon waterfall of light. Despite its beauty, working nearby is dangerous. Local miners extract sulfur by hand, inhaling the acrid smoke. Yet, thousands of tourists make the trek each year to witness this wonder, the fire that burns in a heavenly hue. If you thought the secret to the strength of the Great Wall of China lay in stone and lime, get ready to be surprised. Ancient builders added sticky rice to the mortar. Yes, the same rice we eat with chopsticks. Scientists have discovered that rice water was part of the mixture, which made the wall incredibly strong. The organic compounds from the rice acted like a natural adhesive, helping the stones hold together for centuries. This technique was so effective that even modern engineers admire it. Imagine one of the greatest wonders of the world still stands thanks to a grain that is usually added to sushi. Now that's where culinary art meets construction. Now imagine a person who has turned their body into a work of art, specifically a collection of 516 piercings. This is Rolf Boltz, a Brit known as the Man with Horns. He has piercings everywhere, on his face, ears, and body, along with horn-shaped implants and numerous tattoos. He says that for him, this is not just about appearance, but a form of self-expression, an art that is always with him. Reactions vary. Some are scared, others are amazed, but Rolf believes that what matters is not the opinion of others, but the feeling of freedom. Indeed, his story reminds us that being yourself is already an act of courage. If you tried the most expensive cheese in the world, you might be surprised not by its taste, but by its origin. It's called Pule and is made from donkey milk. It is produced in only one place, Serbia, and it takes almost 25 liters of milk to make 1 kilogram. The cheese has a delicate flavor with nutty notes and costs more than gold, around 1,000 euros per kilogram. It is said to be not only rare, but also incredibly healthy. Indeed, where others see an ordinary pen with donkeys, someone sees a treasure trove of gastronomic delights. The female heart is an organ that lives in the rhythm of emotions. It beats slightly faster than a man's and is particularly sensitive to mood. When a woman is anxious, her heart races. When she smiles, it finds its rhythm. Scientists have even proven that a woman's heart can synchronize with the heart of a loved one if they are together for a long time. So the phrase, hearts beat in unison, is not just a metaphor. Another wonder, during pregnancy, a woman's heart enlarges to pump more blood. It literally grows when new life begins inside. A heart that knows how to love, both physically and symbolically, beats a little more than usual. You've probably heard of the secret society known as the Illuminati. In popular culture, they are often portrayed as invisible puppeteers controlling politics and the economy. However, the reality is simpler and no less interesting. The Illuminati did exist, but only for about a decade, from 1776 to 1785. It was founded by Professor Adam Weishaupt in Germany, who envisioned a world governed by reason and science rather than the church. The order was eventually banned, but rumors of its resurrection persist to this day. Perhaps people just enjoy the idea that someone is pulling the strings of chaos. Somewhere in the mists of the mountains of Bhutan and India hides the golden takshin, a creature that looks like a mix of a goat, a buffalo, and a bear. Its thick golden fur shimmers in the sunlight, and its curved horns give it the appearance of a mythical being. Locals consider the takshin sacred and associate it with legends of the Buddha. Scientists long doubted its existence until they finally found traces and DNA. The takshin has become a symbol of how a legend can turn out to be real. You just need to have the patience to see it. If you ever held a piece of pure sodium, you would have to be very careful. This metal looks like soft, silvery soap, but as soon as it meets water, a real explosive dance begins. Sodium reacts instantly, releasing hydrogen and a huge amount of heat, causing the gas to ignite right on the surface of the water. That's why it's stored under oil in laboratories, to prevent an accidental drop from triggering a fireworks display. Interestingly, this explosive guy doesn't occur in nature in its pure form, but as salt, it sits quietly in your kitchen. Yes, right in your salt shaker. Jellyfish are almost otherworldly creatures, and for good reason. They are made up of water almost entirely, about 95%. This allows them to float in the ocean like living clouds. They have neither a heart nor a brain, yet they have existed on Earth for hundreds of millions of years, outlasting dinosaurs and ice ages. Their transparent bodies catch the sunlight, making it seem as if they are woven from light. Despite their fragility, jellyfish are perfectly adapted to life. They serve as a reminder that it's not the strongest who survive, but those who know how to go with the flow and use it to their advantage. In the 18th century, rumors circulated throughout Europe about the mysterious Count Saint-Germain. He was said to have lived for centuries, never aging, and possessed knowledge that no one else could know. It was claimed that he drank an elixir of immortality and mingled with the most influential people. Some considered him a charlatan, while others believed he was a true alchemist. Interestingly, reports of a man with the same name continued to emerge even 100 years later. Coincidence or a carefully maintained legend? Who knows? Perhaps he truly found a way to remain in history forever. The word nurse may seem familiar, but its history goes back centuries. Once, in Latin, nutrire meant to breastfeed. Over time, the meaning expanded to refer to those who care for the sick, provide comfort, and help them recover. Indeed, the essence remains the same: care. Modern nurses may not breastfeed, but they continue to nurture, now with attention, warmth, and kindness. Each generation of nurses carries this ancient meaning: to be there when someone is suffering, and to give them the strength to keep going. In Sweden, there is a museum that proudly showcases failures. Yes, an entire museum of failures. It features products, inventions, and projects that once flopped spectacularly. coffee-flavored Coca-Cola, plastic boomerangs, and even video games that nobody wanted to play. The idea behind the museum is simple: to demonstrate that the path to success is always paved with mistakes. Visitors laugh and are amazed, but in the end, they realize that without falls, there are no flights. Leaving the museum, you start to view your own missteps differently, as part of a larger, joyful experiment called life. Did you know that the University of Oxford is older than the Aztec Empire? While cities were just beginning to emerge in Europe and America was still sleeping under tropical forests, student life was already thriving in England. The first lectures at Oxford were held in the 12th century, long before the Aztecs started building their pyramids. Over the centuries, the university has endured wars, changes of kings, and reforms, yet it has remained a center of knowledge. Today, as you gaze at its ancient towers and historic halls, you realize that while time can change the world, the thirst for learning is eternal. Have you ever thought about how much time we spend at traffic lights? All that time under red turns out to be not so short. On average, a person spends about 6 months of their life just waiting for the green light. Those seconds in traffic jams and at intersections accumulate unnoticed, adding up to a whole half year of waiting. Strange, right? Yet there's something philosophical in these little pauses. We rush so much that we forget to stop, and the traffic light seems to say, "Hey, take a breath, relax, look around." Sometimes even those moments of waiting can become a rare opportunity to be with ourselves. If I told you that bananas are berries, you'd probably think I'm joking. But botanists will confirm. It's serious. Bananas develop from a flower that has both stamens and pistils, which is the main characteristic of berries. On the other hand, strawberries are not considered berries because their seeds are on the outside, not the inside. Funny, right? So when you eat a banana in the morning, remember, you're eating a real berry, even if it's a giant one. If it weren't for cultivation, these berries would be filled with hard seeds like their wild ancestors. Nature has once again shown that it loves to surprise us, especially at breakfast. Now imagine that blinking is like a tiny pause in a movie. Every time you close your eyes, about 3/10 of a second pass. Throughout the day, we blink around 15,000 times. These tiny moments refresh the tear film and protect our eyes from drying out. If you add up all the time we spend with our eyes closed, it turns out that in a lifetime a person blinks for a whole 3 years. Ironically, we don't even notice how often the world disappears for a split second. Yet we continue to see it as a whole. Now, let's talk about emptiness, which is anything but empty. The cosmos may seem lifeless, but in reality, every point is teeming with quantum fluctuations, microscopic bursts of particles that appear and disappear faster than you can blink. It's like a sea that is never calm, the waves are just tiny. Scientists call this vacuum, but in truth, it's a bubbling ocean of energy. Essentially, you and I are also part of this ocean, just gathered into a slightly denser form. Lake Baikal in Siberia is not just a lake, it's an entire universe of water. It holds about 20% of the world's fresh water, more than all the Great Lakes combined. Baikal impresses with its depth, clarity, and age. It is over 25 million years old. In winter, it transforms into a crystal mirror, allowing for miles of travel while hearing the ice sing beneath your feet. In summer, the water remains cold, but is so clear that you can see the bottom at a depth of 40 meters. Baikal is not just a natural wonder. It is the living heart of Siberia, where every stone and wave breathes eternity. Ostriches are the true sprinters of the savanna, capable of running at speeds of up to 70 kilometers per hour. But despite their power, they have a funny quirk. They can't walk backward. It's all about the structure of their joints. Their legs seem designed solely for moving forward. However, this limitation is offset by their incredible speed and endurance. Imagine, an ostrich can escape danger in just a few seconds, and its strides are so wide that it seems to fly above the ground. In life, we could take a lesson from them. Don't look back, but charge forward to new horizons, even if something didn't work out behind you. When you look at an ostrich, it's hard to believe that its eyes are the largest among all land animals. They are indeed bigger than its brain. Each eye measures about 5 centimeters in diameter, like huge amber lenses through which the bird can see for miles ahead. Thanks to this vision, the ostrich can spot a predator long before it gets close. Yes, its brain is tiny, but it's enough to make the right decision in time, to turn around and flee on its powerful legs. Sometimes nature reminds us that size of the mind isn't everything. What matters is recognizing danger in time. The female brain is not just a collection of neurons, it is a true conductor of emotions, memory, and feelings. It is structured slightly differently than the male brain. The connections between the hemispheres are more developed in women, allowing them to analyze and feel simultaneously. This is why a woman can think about 3 things at once: listening to a conversation, remembering where she left her keys, and making sure the tea doesn't boil over. The female brain is better at recognizing facial expressions and emotions, and it responds to words more subtly than it may seem. So when a woman says, "I just felt it," it's not mysticism. It's the result of her brain's incredibly precise functioning. In northern Australia lives the cassowary, a bird that looks like a descendant of dinosaurs. Standing nearly as tall as a human, with a blue helmet on its head and a claw sharp as a knife, it commands respect. Cassowaries rarely attack, but if provoked, they can leap and deliver a kick powerful enough to puncture metal. Scientists consider them the most dangerous birds on the planet, yet also among the oldest. They play a crucial role in the ecosystem by dispersing seeds, helping the forest to thrive. True guardians of the tropics, formidable yet fair. If there were a superhero snake, it would be the taipan, the most venomous snake on Earth. Just 1 drop of its venom is enough to kill 100 people. Yet, despite its terrifying reputation, the taipan is actually quite a humble creature. It lives in the wilds of Australia and avoids humans. Its strength lies not in aggression, but in efficiency. The taipan moves with lightning speed, hunts small animals, and disappears into the sands like a shadow. This snake, introvert, reminds us that strength doesn't always manifest in attack. Sometimes it's about knowing how to stay away from trouble. Have you ever wondered how many thoughts pass through your mind in a day? Scientists estimate it's around 70,000. It's like an endless stream of little lightning bolts, from simple ones like what to eat to profound thoughts that can change your life. Most of them zip by without leaving a trace, but some linger and turn into ideas, dreams, or solutions. Our brains work non-stop even while we sleep, sorting experiences, discarding the unnecessary, and retaining what's important. Sometimes it feels overloaded, but it's this chaos of thoughts that makes us alive. So if you find yourself constantly pondering, don't be hard on yourself. Your brain just loves to be in motion. When people say computer bug, they usually think of software errors, but the first bug was very real. It was a moth. In 1947, in one of the earliest computers, the Harvard Mark II, an insect got stuck between the contacts, causing a malfunction. Engineers carefully removed it and glued it into a logbook with the note, "First recorded bug." Since then, this term has been used to describe all technical glitches. It's amusing that one tiny creature inadvertently gave the world a term familiar to every user. So when your computer freezes, you can mentally blame not the code, but the spirit of that very moth. Imagine this. There's a tiny nail living inside each of us. Seriously, the human body contains about 3 to 4 grams of iron, just enough to forge a small nail. This iron isn't just a random element. It makes life possible as it helps our blood carry oxygen. Without it, we couldn't think, breathe, or move. So you could say that each of us has a tiny piece of metal inside, making us stronger. Funny, isn't it? We seem to be made of flesh and blood, yet inside there's a bit of steel. High in the Andes lies Machu Picchu, an ancient Incan city built so ingeniously that it has withstood earthquakes for 5 centuries. Its walls are assembled without cement. The stones fit together so precisely that not even a knife blade can pass between them. When the ground shakes, they shift slightly and return to their place, as if alive. It's remarkable that people without modern technology created a structure resilient to disasters that can bring down concrete cities. Standing there among the clouds, you feel as if the mountain itself whispers, "We knew how to build in harmony with the earth." In Norway, amidst the rugged cliffs and cold waves of the North Sea, there is a remarkable place, the underwater restaurant Under. Its name translates to below, and it speaks for itself. It is the first restaurant in Europe completely submerged underwater. Guests descend a staircase, and through a massive panoramic window, they are greeted by the underwater world, fish, jellyfish, and the play of light and shadow. The interiors are designed in Scandinavian minimalism, and the dishes are prepared from seafood caught literally outside the window. Here, food becomes part of the ocean, and dining turns into a true adventure. This place seems to connect humanity and the sea in a single breath. On the other side of the world, in the snowy forests of the Amur region, lives the Amur leopard, one of the rarest predators on the planet. Fewer than 100 remain in the wild. Its fur is thicker and longer than that of its African relatives, allowing it to withstand the cold. The leopard moves silently, like a shadow on the snow, and can leap up to 8 meters in length. Thanks to conservation programs, the population of these animals has started to grow. The Amur leopard is a symbol of hope. Even when a species is on the brink of extinction, nature still has a chance to regenerate if given a helping hand. If you could suddenly stop the Earth's rotation, you would be thrown forward at a speed of over 1,600 kilometers per hour. We don't notice this rotation because everything around us moves along with the planet, the air, the water, ourselves. But if this harmony is disrupted, inertia will show its power. It's what explains why you feel a jolt when the bus suddenly brakes. Physics isn't boring. It's a constant reminder that even when it seems like you're standing still, you're still racing through space at breakneck speed. Light is a capricious traveler. In a vacuum, it always travels at about 300,000 kilometers per second, but as soon as it passes through water or glass, it slows down. This is what causes refraction. When a ray of light passes through a droplet, it bends and we see a rainbow. If light were to pass through a material with a refractive index greater than 100, it would move at the speed of a cyclist. Scientists have even learned to completely stop light under special conditions using ultra-cold atoms. It turns out that even the fastest thing in the world can be put on pause. Sometimes fears can be so unusual that they seem fictional. For example, there is cainophobia, the fear of empty spaces. People with this rare disorder feel anxious when they find themselves in a room without furniture or in a vast empty square. They feel comfortable when the space is filled with things, people, and details. For others, such emptiness represents freedom. But for them, it's a challenge. Imagine walking into a new house with no furniture and feeling uneasy, as if the air is pressing down on you. It's a strange yet real reminder of how differently each of us perceives the world around us. When the plane ascends into the sky, it feels as if everything is held up by the will of wonders. But behind it lies strict physics. Flight is made possible by 4 forces: lift, thrust, drag, and gravity. The wings create lift, the engines provide thrust, while air resistance and Earth's pull work to bring the plane back down. The balance among these forces allows the massive machine to soar like a bird. Its magic explained by equations. Each flight is proof of how humanity has tamed the air, and in the sky we are all a bit like wizards, having conquered a realm that once seemed unattainable. In 2015, the residents of the small town of Golden in Colorado woke up and couldn't believe their eyes. Everything was covered in webs. It was literally raining thousands of tiny spiders from the sky. Scientists explained that this phenomenon is called ballooning, when spiders release long strands and are carried by the wind to travel long distances. Sometimes there are so many that it creates the illusion of rain. For the locals, it was a shock, while for biologists, it was a marvel of aerodynamics. Who would have thought that even spider silk could turn the sky into a living work of art? The world doesn't just exist. It lives, breathes, and plays with us. What surprised you the most? What made you smile or see the familiar from a different perspective? Subscribe and like. There will be even more facts that will make you say, "Wow, that's amazing."